If you're looking into EXP Realty, I want to walk you through what it's been like for me in my first year. I'm going to touch on not only the good stuff, but the things that I would definitely do differently if I could have the chance to start over. So make sure you stick around till the end. Before I dive into the details, I want to give you the quick and dirty version of my journey so far, not just at EXP, but in the real estate industry as a whole, so you have context for where I'm coming from. I got my license back in February of 2020, right before the pandemic hit. I started with a team at my local RE/MAX agency, and I was with them for about a year before making the switch over. I work in a resort market here in Ocean City, New Jersey. Things are a little bit different, but after a year at RE/MAX, I was ready to take the next step, and EXP was the right choice for me for a few reasons. Don't worry, I'm not going to go over all of those again for you right now. They are in a different video, but let's stay on track. I'm going to break this down into 5 different categories. I'm going to go through onboarding and what that experience is like, training and how amazing that is, the systems that you get for free simply for being a member of EXP, what my production was like in year 1 here, as well as what my compensation was like and the intricacies of the compensation model. And at the end, I'm going to talk through what I believe is the most important thing that I wish I knew before joining. So number 1, the onboarding experience can be a little rough. It has come a long way since I joined even just over a year ago, but there's a lot of information and it can be very overwhelming. For example, I have an agent out in California who's going through that right now, and it really can be overwhelming, all of the different possibilities, the trainings that you should take, the meetings that you should attend, that sometimes it's hard to know where to start. The biggest thing that I can tell you is that in order to have a successful onboarding experience, you really do have to be a self-starter. You have to stay on top of things, as there is a lot of information out there. So you would want to work with your sponsor, whomever brought you into EXP, to make sure that you're doing things in an order that makes sense, that you are getting the information you need to start off on the right foot, and that you're getting your grounding in a strong foundation here with the company. Compared to my experience at RE/MAX, a smaller local office, it is night and day, right? I had one-on-one attention, and it really was cut and dry over the course of about a day because there aren't that many complexities to being in the local office. With everything we have here, not only EXP World and the cloud, all of the different tools and systems and technology that you get, yes, it can be overwhelming, but I would argue that it is well worth sifting through and struggling through all of those details to make sure that you have and can utilize that strong core for your benefit going forward. Now, number 2, we have training. So with my local office here, the only training that I got was direct from my team lead, which was awesome. There's not a bad word that I could say about where I came from. The limitation with a local office like that is that the training can only really come from one place. That's one person in one city, in one state, in one brokerage who knows what they know and not necessarily what's working out in other similar markets, not only around the country, but around the world. EXP's training was absolutely fantastic, and I still find myself going in every single week to take at least one class in the world. Now, our trainings here are taught primarily by icon agents. These are the top producing agents, actively producing agents who are sharing their tips and their secrets for what's working now. Coming into real estate, I believed that this really wasn't an industry where collaboration happens, and my eyes have been completely blown open by what is happening here, specifically with the way that training is being done. And it's not just the icon agents. Right now, we have a Grant Cardone series out there that is accessible to everybody. There are other training opportunities within your sponsoring organization that personally, for me, are at equal or even greater value than what I'm getting strictly from EXP University. So training was not a letdown. It was a huge win, and I would encourage anybody who is looking for a brokerage where you're going to get solid training, consistent training, whenever you want it, that's on demand and consistently growing, this would be a huge thing for you to consider. Now, for the systems, coming from where I came from, we also had your pretty standard CRM, website, things of that nature. EXP has taken it a bit to the next level, and I'm not going to oversell it. EXP has all of those same things. The difference is that all of that is combined in one package for you in KV Core. Everything is consolidated, it's in one place. It makes it much easier to manage. And on top of that, you have ample support, which I've leveraged very, very frequently. When there's something that didn't happen quite as I thought it would or expected it to, in the CRM. When my website had a glitch one time, I was able to get it fixed immediately. I didn't have to pick up the phone, call somebody in another country. The staff at Inside Real Estate, who runs KV Core, was ready and available, and they got it taken care of immediately. The most valuable system that I've used so far, it actually came directly from my sponsor, not from EXP as a whole. And that would be what's called the Social Agent Academy. So taking my business in a completely different direction than I did in my very first year at RE/MAX, I knew I needed to leverage something differently to save my time, to be able to have more than just a one-to-one conversation so that my business can scale and I don't have to pour 50, 60, 70 hours a week doing the same thing, having the same conversation. But I just didn't know what that would look like. Within the Social Agent Academy, which fortunately for me I got for free, it showed me the blueprint for how to leverage social media to have one-to-many conversations, to create evergreen content that's compelling so that you can have a conversation one time and you can knock it out of the park. You can leverage that forever. And not only that, you're able to have conversations with people on their terms at the time of their choosing. That could be at 2 a.m., that could be at noon, on a Tuesday. It's whenever's convenient for them because it's all documented via video. To put it bluntly, the systems that we have here, the ones that EXP provides and the one that I got directly from my sponsor, Mike Sherrard, completely changed the trajectory of my business. And if I hadn't made the move when I did, I don't even want to envision what my career would look like at this point compared to where it is now. Now, the topic that everybody wants to talk about, compensation, right? We're entrepreneurs. The dollar is not the sole reason why we do it. But if we're going to be doing the same job with brokerage A, B, or C, you're going to likely choose the one where you can put the most money in your pocket for your efforts. On that note, let's touch quickly, if you haven't been exposed to this already, on what the compensation model looks like here so that you can understand what I'm about to tell you. If you're brand new to the industry and you've never sold a property, you'll start with a mentor for your first 3 transactions on a 60-40 split. What that means is if you get a $10,000 commission, 60% goes to you, 40% goes to your mentor / EXP. If you have been around the block and this is not your first rodeo, everybody is on an 80-20 split. And there is a cap on that of $16,000. So once you've paid in $16,000 to the company, you're on a 100% split. In my first year, I didn't truly understand how much of a disadvantage I was at not having a cap on my split because, quite frankly, I didn't think I was going to do as much business as I did in my very first year in the industry. However, at the end of that year, looking back at everything that I paid in, my jaw hit the floor. If I had been where I am now and started off with the EXP, I would have tens of thousands of extra dollars in my bank account for doing the same work, for doing everything exactly the same. So the beauty at EXP here is your potential is truly in your hands. What you can earn is 100% up to you. Now, on top of just your commission income, again, at RE/MAX, I had one stream of income, and it was only commission based on sales. With EXP, there are additional streams of income, the main one being stock awards. You get paid company stock for doing what you are already doing, simply selling real estate. If you want to know more about what that looks like, there's a link here above that will take you through the detailed explanation of how that stock program and the different types of stock awards that are out there. Now, the third stream of income would be revenue sharing. Revenue sharing comes from growing an organization. If you've thought about what your 10-year plan, 15-year plan looks like in the real estate industry, a lot of people gravitate towards a team, to become a team lead, to have agents under you, to build an organization that way locally. There's a lot that comes along with that, including overhead. I know many team leads who are incredibly successful and have essentially exited the business for the most part, and that concept has worked for them. When I was getting ready to leave RE/MAX, I was thinking through what I wanted my future to look like. And ultimately, the team concept has a huge pitfall that I myself was a part of, unfortunately. As you bring in new agents, especially good ones, who take to the training, who accelerate and do really, really well, there's a very high risk that they're going to take everything that you poured into them and go out on their own, whether that's starting a new team or going solo. And that happens all the time. What that does for you, the team lead, is leaves a hole for you to backfill. And now you have to start from zero again and train up a new agent until they get to that point where ultimately, yes, you hope they stick around. But ultimately, if they are successful and driven, which is what you would want on your team, they're likely going to be incentivized to go out on their own. So it seems to me to be kind of an endless cycle. With EXP, it's totally different. As I mentioned earlier, I actually have an agent out in California who is working not directly on my team. I don't have broker responsibilities. I don't have to review contracts. There's a local team, salaried, paid by EXP in every state that you as an agent, or as me as an agent, can leverage for those other questions. The third stream of income is through revenue share. Now, revenue share is too complex to handle in the confines of this video, so I'm going to save that for another time. But let's talk about the whole comp structure and how that has worked for me over the past year. I was able to cap in about 7 months. That meant for the remaining 5 months of the year, any business that I did, I kept 100% of the commissions. And fortunately for me, I had my biggest sale during that time, and that was a $2 million beachfront condo. And that felt absolutely amazing to put every cent directly into my pocket. Now, on the whole, between year 1 in the industry and year 2 here, specifically with EXP, I more than doubled my take-home pay. Now, what's interesting about that, if you were looking strictly at sales volume, which is a vanity metric as far as I'm concerned, so simply by leveraging EXP's compensation model versus the one I started with, yes, I increased my business, but I increased my income much more as it relates to my sales volume. So for any agent out there who is operating in a no cap model, in a high cap model, you can get a raise simply by switching from where you are over to EXP, and that can mean an incredible amount of things for you and your family. For me personally, that translated into many upgrades in my home and a new car. For others, it might mean something more substantial. It could mean an additional vacation. The point is, the more of the work that you do, where the money is going to you and not to pay for overhead, franchise fees, middlemen, there are a million different places where that can go, but ultimately we don't have to worry about that here. And the best part is even that $16,000 cap can come back to you in the form of stock if you become an Icon agent, which again we'll touch on in another video. Now, last but not least, before you jump off, I want to share with you the one thing that I really wish I knew before jumping in here at EXP. I saw a couple videos about choosing a sponsor, and honestly, now looking in the rearview mirror, I think people undersell just how important that is. I spoke with multiple potential sponsors before joining, but ultimately I was looking just for a direct connection in terms of my fit with that person's personality. Once I had my final call, I realized just how much more you should be looking for in your sponsor than just an immediate rapport, a good conversation. You have the ability to receive training, tools, and everything that you could ever need to explode your business simply by joining the right organization. Now, I joined with Mike Sherrard in the Agent Wolfpack, and on top of the additional trainings that we get, there's 4 mastermind calls per week, the different tools, not just the Social Agent Academy, but other production trainings, agent attraction trainings, investment trainings. There is everything that I never knew that I actually needed, and it's available for everybody within our organization for free. This would cost tens of thousands of dollars just to get access to, and it does for people who are not a member of the Wolfpack. But if you want to learn more about that, or if you just want to have a conversation about what that could look like for you and take a peek behind the curtain, feel free to click my Calendly link down below in the description and we can book a quick call. I would love to answer any questions that you have about my first year here, about the company as a whole, about the Wolfpack, and how it changed my life. I appreciate you hanging out with me today to learn about my journey thus far, and I'm going to keep the content coming. So if you like this, make sure you hit the thumbs up for me and subscribe down below, because I'm going to be putting out more content here as my journey continues, and my goal is going to be massive. Thanks again, and I will see you on the next one.